Hey, everybody, you are watching The Main Viewer. Today, we're going to be talking about the news of the day, of course. We'll talk about the state of conventions, past, present, and future. There are a lot of questions going on there, and we're going to tackle them or nudge them. Then we're going to lead up to the Seventh Rules toast of our good friend, Mr. Aaron Eisenberg, right after this live video. Today, of course, we'll talk about somebody needs to turn off their...
I did.
And I guess Lolita's introducing herself. So without further ado, let's talk about that. The script coordinator for The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, as well as the producer of the upcoming Voyager documentary. But for today's purposes, she is also the appearance manager for dozens of your favorite Star Trek actors. She doesn't know how to mute her phone. Lolita Fatjo.
I'm working on it. Hello, everyone. Sorry. I'm really technically challenged, and I'm trying to mute my phone. I thought it was off. Anyway, we'll figure it out later. Really glad to be here, and I love talking about conventions because that's how I've lived my last 30 some odd years is in the Star Trek world in the convention area. So I'm happy to be here, and we'll talk when everybody's ready, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out.
Also, our co-host today, Mr. Sirach Lofton. He needs no introduction. You know him. You love him. Sirach.
Hello, hello. What's up, everybody?
She's a member of the Seventh Rule team as well as our virtual TrekCon team. She's a cool merchandise maker, candlestick breaker. I'm out of rhymes. Melissa Longo.
Yay!
Thank you. Hello, everyone. You may hear or see Mochi's butt appear every now and again. So
Mochi is her cat, guys. Don't get too crazy. Mochi is just her cat.
Mochi, my cat.
Also associate producer of the Seventh Rule and team member of Virtual TrekCon. And she's an expert on all things Star Trek documentaries, Star Trek podcasts, Star Trek social media sites, Dr. Anne Marie Siegel.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hey.
Hey.
Also a virtual TrekCon member, the Dean of Natural Sciences at Duke University and Star Trek Science Advisor, Dr. Mohammed Noor. Cool shirt.
Yay. Credit to Walking Art made by Melissa for this shirt.
Yeah.
Also happy to be here and talk conventions.
Awesome. Well, guys, everybody's thinking, yeah, but who's the guy in the cool hat? Well, he's also a member of the virtual TrekCon team. He is our web designer and graphic maker, and he's just pretty much the most important cog to every thing that anybody ever needs to do. He's a writer, producer, and director. His name is Mr. Scott Baker, by the way.
Hello, howdy. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Cool. My name is Ryan T. Husk. I didn't mention that, right? So there we go. Anne-Marie, you have a couple quick news items for us, right? What's in the news today?
I think we're all like, yes, that's
Captain,
amazing.
incoming message.
Oh my God, this is all really fun. Well, I think the main news in the next 2 days is just going to be Jeffrey Combs being on Lower Decks this week as an evil computer who's obviously very chatty, as all evil computers are in Star Trek. So that's like the big thing that's starting to really take over. But then also we saw a really cool tweet from Star Trek on Paramount Plus that if you respond to them with your cosplay or fan art for Lower Decks, it could be featured on the Ready Room with Will Wheaton. So make sure to look for that tweet. I know, that'd be really fun. There was definitely some amazing Lower Decks cosplay in Star Trek Las Vegas.
Cool.
Awesome. You know Jeff Combs pretty well, right, Lolita?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's funny. I just talked to Jeff. I talk to him all the time. We are really, really good friends. And we are both huge sports fans, but on the opposite side all the time. But yeah, he's a Blue fan, you know. Anyway.
No.
Of course he is.
And he's a Seahawks fan. So anyway, moving on. we were talking about Lower Decks, and I'm always just thrilled to see any of my friends or anybody from our generation of Star Trek shows being part of this new universe of Star Trek. So I'm tickled for him and anybody else that gets involved. So it would be great to see them on the screen, not just as voiceovers, but it's a start in the right direction. So,
I am tickled for Lower Decks for catching the biggest fish out there and the most talented dude out there. Congratulations to them for getting Jeff Combs, I say.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we wouldn't be seeing Jeffrey Combs's face anyways, because he would be wearing makeup if he was. So.
Right?
True.
Very true. Very true. This is going to be, I guess, his 9th role or 10th if you
Yeah,
count a computer game.
Wow.
This will definitely push him over Vaughn Armstrong, maybe. But that debate will go on till they're both.
Yeah.
I guess you did see him in Far Beyond the Stars. He was there without makeup, just as like a person.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Good knowledge.
And in the
Excellent
final
knowledge.
episode, we were all there without makeup too.
At the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that counts as well, even if it's uncredited. So
Mhm. Good point. So this live episode is kind of Cirroc's baby. We had a lot of fun at Star Trek Las Vegas, and afterwards we just kept talking about it. And Cirroc was like, we can't just like leave Star Trek Las Vegas and not keep talking about all the cool people that we see there and how cool the experiences are at conventions. And I don't know, Cirroc, what was the genesis of that? Was it that this year was better than the other years? Was it that like the absence makes the heart grow fonder and we missed it the year before?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Just the fact that there was a time when we couldn't see each other. I think that just made it more special when we actually could. And just, the whole thing is that sometimes we just take these pictures, we post them, and then that's it. But sometimes there's, I felt like there was a need there to kind of have a rehash of some of the good stories and the good times. And we always do the kind of promotion leading up to an event, but once the event is done, it's like, okay, on to the next one. But there could be a little bit of a wind down period, I thought. And what better place to do that than on this kind of a forum where everybody can meet up and share a special story or what made the convention so special for them. I think that everybody walked away with something this last convention in Vegas, and I thought they did a fantastic job of just kind of maintaining order and making everybody feel like, we hadn't missed a beat. So kudos to the people at Creation for putting on another wonderful event.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Go ahead,
I was
Ryan.
just going to say, speaking of which, very quickly, we do want to give a shout out to our other virtual TrekCon team member, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg of Falling Tower. He and Katie were the only virtual TrekCon members that were not at the convention in Las Vegas. Everybody here was there, so everybody here can speak on it. Michael has been to previous ones, and looking forward to having him on this show in the next week or two as well. But anyway, what were you saying, Lolita?
No, I agree with Cirroc. It was just after, having a year off from it, it was just so great to finally be there, because that convention's been around for so long in one form or the other. I mean, I've been doing these with Creation before some of you were born, honestly, that's the truth. Going back to when they were still in New York, and then they came out here, and we used to have them at the Bonaventure Hotel, downtown Los Angeles. And then it moved to Pasadena, and that was the big Grand Slam every year. And then it finally moved to Vegas quite a few years ago because of the Star Trek The Experience at the Hilton. But so it's been going on for so long, and it's like a family reunion every year. And to miss one year because of COVID, it hurt everybody, emotionally, physically, financially, whatever. But it was just so nice to have so many people there. And Cirroc's right. They didn't skip a beat. We had to wear masks, which was fine. There was plexiglass in place. There were certain things that we're not used to, but it felt like going home. Mm-hmm. And the only difference I know, and it's my age as well, but after not doing it the year before, I was thoroughly exhausted this time. It's always hard. And it took me 2 weeks to recover this time. 2 weeks. 2 full weeks.
You know, Lolita, when you said I've been doing it since before you were born, Anne Marie was totally like, go on.
It's true.
It's not even true.
And I think there was something nostalgic about it too, in the way, because knowing that like this is the last year that it's going to be at the Rio.
Yeah.
I've only ever
That's why I
been.
bought these souvenirs.
Oh wow!
Well, then
I've only ever been when it was at the Rio. I didn't get to go when it was at the Hilton Star Trek Experience or anything like that. So my entire knowledge of is through the Rio and the Masquerade bar and everything like that. To me, that's all part of what Star Trek Vegas is. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you
That's
haven't
kind of-
lived until you had it at Bally's. Hey, that's a good question for everybody in the chat. For those of you that have gone to the Rio Star Trek convention, as well as the Hilton Star Trek convention, which one did you like better? Because they're very different.
Well, there was obviously something really special about having the experience be part of
Yes.
experience, no pun intended. You know, that was really cool. I think the Rio overall is a better venue. I'm a little nervous because of going to a new place. I know the Rio like the back of my hand, and we have to know how to get here and there without going through the main hall and, you know, the back bowels of the convention center or the restaurants. So that part makes me nervous because that's a whole learning curve that takes a couple years to really learn. So it's like that part will be starting over. But I think it's supposed to be a beautiful, beautiful venue. So that I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Well, does the Bally's have a convention center that's actually connected to the hotel, or are we gonna have to like walk through a parking lot? Or I'm not.
What I understand we're going to be at a convention center that is part of Bally's. I haven't been there. I've only whatever I've heard from Creation, but they love the venue. So.
Yeah, and the thing that I would add to that is the Hilton, which is where the original experience was, and the Rio are both off of the main strip of Las Vegas Boulevard. So you're kind of isolated once you're at the convention. If you want to have a meetup group outside, it's a lot of coordinating to get to the main strip and to kind of do that. So the one advantage that I believe that Bally's is going to offer for everybody is the fact that they will be staying on the strip. So you can walk across the street to Bellagio, you can walk across the street to the Cosmopolitan, you can go to the Caesar's Palace right down the street. So you're literally in the heart of the action of Las Vegas. I think that's going to increase the intensity and the opportunities to do extracurricular activities after the convention's over.
Right, but see
Well said.
but see the gain of being able to walk out onto the strip is cool, but the negative is then all the normies are going to come invade our convention. They're all going to
And the Rio is perfect for that.
They won't. They have to pay to get in. They won't.
Yeah.
It was interesting the date shift. You saw the one for next year is noticeably later than it was for this year. So I think it's going to be it'll be an interesting change for anybody who has kids or works associated with education, because it's basically around the start of the school year as opposed to a 4-1. It's 2 weeks before.
Is it the last weekend of August or close?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Like
I knew
22 to
I
25.
knew they had to push it back, but yeah, that's true too. It might affect attendance one way or the other. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Did you guys, Lolita, Mohammed, Sirach, I don't know if Melissa has, but you guys all went to the Hilton when Star Trek Las Vegas was at the Hilton. Oh, you did not?
I did not.
So just Lolita, myself, Sirach. I know Michael did. We went together. What did you think? Did you like the Rio better or the Hilton with the Star Trek experience? I'm going to say the Star Trek experience just because it had Quark's bar and all kinds of goodies.
Definitely. Yeah.
They not only had Quark's bar, they had the Star Trek experience ride, which was actually a pretty good ride, especially for the time. It was like one of the Universal Studios type of sit in your seat and get a visual experience, but with the shaking and the extra effects. So that made it really cool. And then the let out to the ride led you out into Quark's bar. So it was kind of an entire experience. And when you add to that the fact that the Hilton had committed to making Star Trek its home base, they actually had a lot of slot machines as well in the Hilton that were Star Trek slot machines. So
That was cool.
they really went all out. Yeah. They went all out at the Hilton.
The other neat thing about that was it wasn't just utilized for the convention. We did numerous signings and appearances out there during the year. I mean, we would have a Feige night and I'd bring Max and Aaron or, Armin, and we'd have signings and mini conventions. So that part was really cool. That's something you can't do just in some place like the Rio. So that would have been cool if that had been able to continue for that reason.
But what I will say though is the Rio offers stuff that, like Scott was saying, with the Masquerade bar and the Voodoo Lounge upstairs, the Skytop restaurant / bar. It has its own amenities, I think, that are good too. I like the pool, for example. I like the restaurants at the Rio. There's a lot of variety there. So there's certain things that the Rio does have that are a little bit better than what Hilton had at that time.
It's true. But
See, and this is why Srock is so much cooler than us, is because we go, well, I like Quark's bar and I like the uniforms. And Srock's like, yeah, I like the lounge and the party and the pool and being on the strip. That's the good stuff.
Well, I liked Quark's bar
Vegas.
I like Quark's bar because there was a drink named after me. It was
Really?
the
Yeah.
Lolita. Yes.
Yes.
So one of those menus, those original menus. Yes, it was one of those.
Wow.
Nice.
Do you remember
There
what
you
it was
go.
like or what was in it?
It was very potent, as they drinks were. They had,
It's
all
amazing.
those crazy drinks with the dry ice. It was Those were fun days. Those were really, really fun days.
Oh.
When conventions were different, there were more fan-run conventions, and so people came from all over just to come, like I said, for one day. It wasn't even a week-long convention. So, but yeah, it was the Lolita. So also named after Lita, but so long
Okay.
time
Great
ago.
ladies.
Thank you.
So here's what I want to know, and I think everybody wants to know, but I think Lolita may have an inside track for us. Is the future? Well, it's not Star Trek Las Vegas anymore. It's the 55-year mission. I don't know if
Yes.
next year is going to be the 56-year mission.
It
It
is.
looks like
I've already received invitations for actors for the 56th year mission. Yes.
right. So
Right.
that's going to be at Bally's, but rumor has it that it's just going to be at Bally's for 1 year, and then it might go back to the Rio the following year.
Oh,
I have heard that myself. Actually have heard that from members of Creation, but I don't know that they know that 100%. So I don't really know how to comment on that. Again, what I said before is I'm excited to see it at a different place and see how it goes. And maybe that'll determine what they do in the future. I don't really know, but I've heard that myself. So I've also heard Rio has been bought out by Hyatt, and they're going to basically gut the whole place. And if that happens, that's going to be a 2 or 3 year process. So I just have to wait and see what happens. But we know we'll all be in Vegas every August somewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Because I'm
that's-
worried about Bally's. I'm worried. I don't know. I've never been in there. I just,
It's okay, Ryan. We're going to
I'm
hold
like a
your hand.
snooty French guy. When I go to Vegas, I'm like, oh, Paris, I'll go there. Bally's, what's that? I'm not, oh, Caesars, that sounds fun. And I'm like, what the heck? What does Bally's even mean? I'm so like simple-minded. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm not going in there.
It's
I've
a
never
hotel
been.
chain.
Oh.
But the font looks like Bally's Workout Express. It's so
Yeah,
confusing.
exactly. It'll
I've
be
never-
okay, Ryan.
Nice
It'll be
shoes.
okay.
There's some nice
Oh,
shoes
yeah.
from Switzerland.
There you go.
Is it nice in there, Sirach? At Bally's?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's one of the older hotels, so it still has more of the, it's not one of the redone brand new Wynn hotels or Aria, but I just like the
That's kinda
central
cool.
location. Yeah, that's the cool
Yeah.
part about it.
Yeah.
And I also like that it's like literally across the street from Bellagio. So, to me, that's the landmark of the centerpiece of Vegas, right? It's that water fountain in front of
Yes.
Bellagio.
Yeah.
So if you're anywhere near or around that, then you are in the heart of Vegas, in my opinion. Like you're dead center in the middle of the action. So
Yeah. Which is
I'm excited about being there.
Yeah, and jumping to a new convention, Reed Pop is going to have the official convention in Chicago. April.
Yeah, let's talk
And
about that.
One thing I'm really excited about is it's actually in downtown Chicago. Usually we're stuck out at O'Hare at the airport in some hotel, and there's nowhere to go. It's too far from the city to go in for dinner. It's too far to go in to see something because you're there working. So your time is really limited. But being in the center of a city, you can actually leave that event and go across the street and have lunch at some cool Chicago place. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love Chicago. It's a great city. I've spent a lot of time there. So that I'm really looking forward to not be stuck at an airport hotel. So, and that convention is moving along. It's going to be here before we know it. I've booked some actors. I'm not at liberty to say yet who, because they haven't been announced, but things are moving along. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm also very nervous about it. Like I said, learning another new venue when you have actors counting on you to get them from one place to another, or you need to be someplace quickly and you don't know where you're going. It's kind of scary because it's another convention center, and convention centers are huge. But we'll see. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that not to take fans away from Vegas, because I think the fans who've been to Vegas for all these years should always go there. But I hope they also give Chicago a try, and maybe they can do both every year. There's plenty of room in the calendar year for 2 conventions. So,
red alert, everybody. Amory, I'm sure you've seen this too, but the Roddenberrys are in the chat. We want to say
I was going to
hello.
say that. It's like
know
an
you
official
were.
convention.
That's it. It's official. If the Roddenberrys are here, we want to give a big shout out to our good friends at the Roddenberrys. We love their music. We love their personalities, and we love their name. So welcome. Okay. Now, Reed Pop. I don't know what, everybody else knows about them. I'd never heard of them, but it seems like a lot of other people had. And Lolita, maybe you might know, or Mohammed, do you know, is this Mission Chicago, is this going to be going to a different city every year, or is it always going to be in Chicago? Like the following year, is it going to be Mission New York and Mission Tallahassee and Mission, Bakersfield?
don't laugh. Creation used to do conventions in Bakersfield, and they were a lot of fun. Those are the past conventions that I can talk about.
Mission Cerritos.
Yeah.
Cerritos.
I think Chicago. Reed Pop is a huge company, and they have a lot of big Comic-Cons. And Chicago is one of their markets that they know well. And I think that's why they're doing this initial one in Chicago. And I think their plan is, hopefully, is to take this formula to other cities. But we know for this next year, it will just be Chicago. COVID changed a lot of things, I think, as far as what they had planned. They're also an international company. They do shows in Australia and in Europe. So, I would think that hopefully the idea in working with CBS is that they do expand these official conventions. So I don't know, Mohammed, if you have anything to add.
That's everything I'd heard as well. That the hope in the long run was to have them on the coasts as well and things like that too. But starting with Chicago, exactly.
Because they have huge conventions in New York.
Yep.
Seattle is one of their biggest. They do Emerald City Comic-Con every year. So I think that they would probably try to do their cities that they already have established: Seattle, Chicago, New York, so forth. So, which would be great. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I don't know if anybody else knows anything about it, because I don't know anything about these
I
guys.
believe I did a Reed Pop event in New York, so I know them as a New York place. I didn't really know that Chicago was also under their umbrella, but I mean, it was a good event. So they run a first class operation. I know that because I've seen really bottom level conventions that are mom and pop kind of run
Name
and
names.
I'm not naming names.
So cute.
Yeah, because I actually wish those people the best because they really have good intentions when they do that. They set out with the best of intentions and they actually have a genuine love for Star Trek. So they're doing it out of the love and goodness of their heart and not so much out of their business accoutrement. And they don't really necessarily know that these are the steps that you have to take in order to promote an event and in order to get people in the door. So I've been at some conventions where I really felt sorry for the promoters. You know, because they were giving it their best effort. They tried, but these things they did.
No, it's
you know.
true. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I've been to events where the promoters, and they're not really promoters, I shouldn't even say that. They're fans who are trying to put on a convention. They have mortgaged their house. They have mortgaged their homes over these things. I remember Aaron and I were at a convention in Florida probably 10, 12 years ago. And honest to God, there were 15 fans that came, 15. And they had rented a hotel, a ballroom. And it broke my heart because I knew these people that was it. Bankruptcy was where they were going. And there was nothing more we could do. We gave those 15 fans the best show they've ever had. But those poor people, you know, I don't know what happened to them, but
I'll give one shout out to a small convention that I thought went really well that I went to a couple of years ago, which is Starbase Indie. I know they have this periodically.
Yes.
They're
They
fantastic. And it's not big.
Yes.
It's like 600 people, but whew, I mean, it was a fantastic convention, start to finish, every part of it.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, back in the day, Star Trek Starbase Indie used to have thousands of people.
Oh, really?
Thanksgiving weekend. And I've been doing that show for 30 years again. And what happened to them is what happened to all the mom and pop conventions is that the big convention companies came in and took over. Star Trek popularity dipped way down for a long time after Deep Space Nine and Voyager. So Starbase Indie, I'm so glad they're still around, and they do a great show. I love them. They're wonderful. I've been so many times on Thanksgiving weekend, but it used to be much, much bigger.
Yeah,
but
they're doing it this coming Thanksgiving too, for anybody who's watching.
I know. I'm glad they're still there.
You know, real quick too, Anne Marie and Mohammed, you guys are going to be doing something for a convention very soon. I'm hearing the end of this month.
Yeah, we're doing a panel together on the Fort Collins Comic-Con. We haven't actually recorded it yet. It's going to be a streaming event, but we're calling it something like Doctor, where we have basically medical questions.
Like sister.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
So everybody check that out. Do they have a website or a name people could look up on social media?
I think they have a Facebook page. I don't know about a website. But Fort Collins Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's FOCO, FOCO.
FOCO.
Comic-Con.
Got it.
.com.
Oh, okay, you have a website. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks
Scott Baker, what's next? We got Destination Trek next. You want to talk about that? I've never been. That's out in jolly old London, right? Or Birmingham or something.
Yeah, I know nothing about that.
Didn't they move to London for this time?
Yeah.
Lolita, you might know something. That's in November, right?
Sorry, I am not trying to take over the conversation.
No, please. We don't know anything.
Star Trek Destinations in London has been in Birmingham. It's been in London. It's been in Birmingham. Sorry, this happened last week. The gardeners are here. Can you hear it?
Nope.
Okay. Yes, it's back in London this time after being in Birmingham for the last few years. It is 100% going on. It is still going to the Voyager reunion that was supposed to be 2 years ago for the 25th anniversary of Voyager. I, again, just had a meeting this morning with them. Things are happening. They're going. We've got most of the cast is still on board. And as far as the Voyager documentary, we're still planning on taking the Voyager crew over there to shoot for the documentary and get more interviews with the cast. And yeah, it's moving forward and it's going to be a great show. And I think what's going to happen there, which is what happened in Vegas, is the fans have not had anything for 2 years, and they're ready. They're eating, and it's going to be a big full house. I definitely think that it's going to be a great show.
So bring your
Yeah,
coffee.
that was the show that Aaron saved my life at, right?
I was just about to say that.
Is that right,
I was
Melissa?
gonna say Ciroc. You remember Birmingham? Ciroc
I
saved your
can never
life.
forget. How could I forget? You saved my life that day.
What happened? Tell
In
the
case
story.
you almost forgot.
Well, we were in Birmingham. We were done that day for, the convention was wrapping up and we were walking back to the hotel. And we left out of the back door of the convention like we normally do as a group. Melissa was there. Aaron was there with me. And we were crossing this one little street to get to the other side where you walk back to the hotel. And I looked the way that you normally look when you're walking across the street, because I'm on American
In the US,
driving.
yes.
Right? So I looked to the left. And I'm looking to the left and there's no cars coming. So I start walking across the street and Aaron sees this bus flying down the street on the other side of the street, which would have been
The
my
wrong
right.
side.
The wrong side. And this bus is literally going like 50 miles an hour. He's like flying in this small residential like street. He's flying down the street.
Oh my
So
God. But how many kilometers is that?
I knew you were going to say that.
I couldn't.
Sorry.
I could,
0.64 times 50. Yeah.
It's fast.
So it was fast. And
Kilometers fast.
yeah, kilometers fast. And Aaron just reaches out. He screams out like, "Watch out!" Like one of those. But the first thing I heard was his scream.
It was
And he got my attention, and it stopped me because of the scream. And he literally, because of that, I didn't step out into the street. And this bus didn't even slow down as it went by. I don't know if you noticed that, Melissa, but it was like,
no, it didn't slow down. If you had shifted your weight at all, you would have been toast.
Yeah, it was that bad.
Wow.
So
Ciroc all over the road. Yeah.
God.
But the worst part of it was Aaron telling me over and over again how he just saved my life.
Of course. Yeah. He wasn't going to let you live
For
that
days
down.
and years after that.
For years, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you're indebted to me now for the rest of your life because I saved your life. And I just wished it had been anybody else at that point. I was like, oh God, no. But that was a special little moment there that we had. And Melissa, you were there, and that was at a Destination Birmingham event, which also was a first class, well-run event. I thought
amazing.
Yeah, I forgot the name of that stadium area where they had it, but it was like ridiculously modern. There was a casino next to it. It was just such a great little convention space.
Yeah. It's called the NEC, and they've been doing it. I did my first convention at the NEC like 25 years ago, and it is a great place. But it's out in the middle of nowhere, really.
Nowhere. Yeah.
It will be nice to be back in London where people can go into. It's kind of like the whole Chicago thing that I was just talking about. It'll be nice to be back in the city again.
Yeah. I remember Aaron was a Twitter because one of the soccer stadiums out there was just across the street, and he just went on and on and on about soccer. We need to go see a game. Soccer. We didn't end up, but
By the way, Ciroc, you did get a lot of love in the chat a few minutes ago. A lot of people were saying really good things about you. We see you guys, Chuck A and Gaylinda B, and everybody else who has an initial in their last name.
Which is everybody in the world.
There are some people, I missed who it was just now, but some people were saying they were very thankful and grateful to Aaron for saving you, Ciroc. Like Linda mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
is that funny, Anne-Marie?
So now you have the entire Star Trek fan base down in Aaron's memory,
Yeah. I figured it was a permanent thing. Once he mentioned it, I was like, oh, this is not gonna go away anytime soon.
So there will be a Star Trek Destinations Germany again, which has been
Oh,
postponed
wow.
by COVID. It will be next year in 2022. So everybody should stay tuned for that. It'll be another great show. Showmasters runs a fantastic show. And I have a little funny story that I'm going to share about Ciroc. So last year, no, 2 years, 3 years ago, time flies by. It was the year we released the documentary for Deep Space Nine. So we were all there, all the Deep Space Nine cast in Birmingham 1 month, and then in Germany. And so Ciroc and I had the car take us back at the same time to the airport after the convention ended. And I had a little trouble hearing from Ciroc to know that he actually ever landed in Germany.
What do you mean by trouble hearing from him?
Well, there was a little lack of communication. So I never knew he was actually coming until I saw him at the hotel. So anyway, I'm glad he was there. It all worked out. But we shared a car on the way back to the airport. It's like a 45-minute drive. And we're just chatting. And Ciroc says, Lolita, I got to tell you something now. He said, I really almost didn't make the trip. He said, I couldn't find my passport. An hour before I was supposed to leave for the airport,
Wow.
I couldn't find it. And all I kept thinking was, Lolita's going to kill me.
That's his motivator.
Yeah. So he tells me he went crazy, like pulled apart his apartment or his house, wherever he lives. And finally, it dawned on him, oh my God, it's in the scanner, where he had to scan a picture of his passport to me days, weeks before.
Yes.
So if he had not realized that, he would not have made that event. And you were so sweet. You're like, you were going to kill me. I knew you were going to kill me.
I know. And
Yeah.
the worst thing, I had my mom in my ear telling me, I told you need to prepare. You never get ready on time. You always wait to the last minute. This and that. And I was like, Mom, I'm trying to find this thing right now and you're killing me. I'm like, I know it was here. I know it was here. I know it was here. She's like, how do you know it was here? And literally hours went by and finally it was, I know it's here because I had to send a copy of it to Lolita. And then I said, wait a minute. It's got to be in the scanner. And
Nice.
That was the thing that triggered it. But I literally made it like at the last second. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Those are the stories we love, though. Those are what stick with us, I think, are those fun little moments.
Yeah,
So-
I had a special moment actually one time. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ryan,
No,
but it was a
please.
really quick story. And Walter Koenig and I were in Germany, and this was the year. It was not too long after he found out that his son had passed away, and I had a chance to ride in the car with him to the airport, and I think that was like a big bonding moment between the two of us, where we had this really big heart-to-heart about life and what he was feeling at the time. He mentioned, growing up in Los Angeles, I think paying like $60 a month for rent back in the day when he first moved here. It was something ridiculous like that. And I just really felt like we connected on that ride, and because of that moment that we shared. And so there's always these kinds of moments that not only happen at the convention, it could happen on the way to the airport. They could happen, checking in at the front desk. There's so many memories that get created at these events. And it's not just the time from when the convention doors open and when it closes, but it's also the the whole experience of traveling to get there and meeting up with friends and having dinners, and all of that makes these conventions so special. And that's why in this particular last convention we just had at the 55-year mission, I felt like we got a lot of that extra stuff done, more so than just seeing the dealers and watching panels, but also just having lunches with each other and sharing moments with each other. So that's why I think it's special to have these kind of recaps on conventions and talk about what moments changed you and what was special about it.
That's a great lead-in for talking about the Star Trek cruise, because I feel like those kinds of things
Exactly.
happen so much more often on the cruise ship because it's this small venue. Everybody's eating the same couple of places. You know, you walk out of the room and everybody's right there in the same hallway. Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's stellar.
Yeah.
That's
You
an
never know.
A+ segue, Mohammed. That's exactly where we wanted
Yes.
to go next. This guy is a real pro. What were you saying, Melissa?
I said I was just gonna say, you never know who you're gonna bump into or when, or it's really a small little floating town. Small
Floating
town.
is the right word. Yeah.
And everybody there is a Star Trek fan or associated with Star Trek. Like, there's
Yes.
nobody who's not. I mean, unless they're a spouse or partner of somebody who is. But
But they don't want to go. I mean,
They're
people
usually
ask me,
left behind.
is Jim going with you on that Star Trek cruise? I'm like, no way. He'd be bored out of his mind. He's not a Star Trek fan. He would there's no interest for him there. So, why waste it? But,
Well,
yeah.
Lolita, what everybody wants to know is the cruise happening for sure, or do you know if there's any potential for a delay, postponement, anything like that? Or I'm not going to the cruise. I don't know anybody else is here. Mohammed, you might be, right?
I'm going. Yep, already turned in my stuff.
Melissa, are you going?
Not as far as I know. I would love to, because it's amazing. But
And Marie, are you going? Sirach?
Not yet. He's not, but you
No,
never know.
not yet. I haven't been on a cruise in almost 20 plus years, I would say. So that's how long it's been since I've been on a cruise. But the time that I was on the cruise, I have one of the greatest stories to tell that I cannot tell. But it was
off the air.
Yeah, but it was one of the best stories ever, and it was pretty much a life-changing event for me. But
wow,
definitely love the cruise because it's a little bit of a vacation and a convention at the same time. It's like a double, because you're actually stopping at a port every once in a while and getting off the boat and seeing some places. So it's actually fun too.
Yeah. So no, the convention is the cruise is 100% happening.
nice.
Absolutely. Unless the world blows up, the cruise is happening. As
Knock on
Mohammed
wood.
says, we are booking airline tickets now. They've got COVID in place, COVID regulations in place. It's sold out, as it always is, which is fantastic. And yeah, I'm excited. I wish it were coming sooner because it's a lot of fun. And also I get a big paycheck, but that's beside the point.
That's not beside the point. That's
that is the point. That is really the point. I have a lot of actors going. I've got Connor, Anthony, Nana, Ethan, Max. I can't think right now, but it's fantastic. The cruises are a lot of fun. For all of you out there who have not been on one of these official Star Trek cruises, sometime try to check it out. They're sold out a year in advance. So is this one. Muhammad, many of them. How many have you been from the beginning?
I've just been on the most recent one.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're a lot of fun, and this one will definitely happen. And there's a waiting list for fans on this one this long. So
I envy everybody who was on the cruise with Kenneth Mitchell when he was having that DJ party. I feel like
that was last time.
That was last time. Yeah.
Time
I wish
crystals.
I was there for that. Oh, I wish I was there for that because it seemed like a special moment. I saw the pictures. I was like, wow, everybody looked like they were really having the best time of their life.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, 455 Films, the one that's doing the Voyager documentary and the Deep Space Nine documentary, they have that whole thing recorded. And sometime are hoping to do something with that for Kenneth because it was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was impromptu. That was not planned at all. That just happened. And it was so moving. And he's such a great documentary and Deep Space Nine.
Sorry.
Melissa.
So sweet this time.
All right. So we all know Sirach has a hard out right now. He's got to run. But thanks so much for joining us. Everybody in the chat, give Sirach your love, saying lots of nice things to him. And you'll see him next on the seventh rule in 2 days. Exactly 48 hours from now, we'll be reviewing Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 7 with a very special guest. It's a surprise guest.
Where pleasant
And-
fountains lie. That's the title.
Right. And anyway, thanks, Sirach.
Thank you, guys. Love
See you
all you
later.
guys. See you later.
Bye, honey.
guys.
Take care.
I
All right, so everybody in the chat, we will be going for a few more minutes. We'll be leading up to the toast to Aaron Eisenberg, which premieres on the Seventh Rules channel. You can find the link to that in the description box of this video. But before that, if you have any questions directly for us or comments directly for us in the YouTube chat section, just go at Virtual TrekCon, and then that'll kind of flag us that you have a question or a
Right
comment
now it's
for
all
us.
Lolita's so great. When she
Yeah.
comments.
Aw. I'm happy to be here.
And Linda says, I love you, Sirach. Sorry, Sirach's gone. Wow, he's getting a lot of
Honestly,
love. We see.
Yes.
That story about Sirach not almost making that plane to Germany was just about killed me. But when he said that on the car on the way back, it was so sweet. Because you have to remember, I knew Sirach when he was like this big.
yeah.
So it was really cute. But that's
Okay.
the hard part about being a manager for all these actors is, they're on their own and some of them don't know how to travel alone. So it gets a little sometimes. But they always make it somehow.
Thanks to you.
Yeah,
Oh.
sometimes, yeah.
One final thought on conventions, Lolita. Do you know anything about the LA Comic-Con? Do you have any guests being booked for that? That's in December, early December, if it goes through.
I have no knowledge of that at all. So
Okay.
I don't even know that has it happened before in LA Comic-Con? I know nothing about it.
Yeah. Oh, LA Comic-Con, it's every year. It's usually right around Halloween, but this year it's going to be early December. Scott Baker is a frequenter of that, right, Scott?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. I wish I did. Now I do.
Yeah.
One thing. while we're waiting-
I've been on panels like filmmaker panels and stuff like that. Though I did see a notice. I got something in the email today, something about Nichelle Nichols
Yes.
having some sort of tribute for her there. So there'll definitely be a Star Trek component to it.
Good.
Mhm. It's going to be her farewell show is combining with the LA Comic-Con. And so that's been announced a little kind of recently, and that's December 3rd through 5th. I don't know if these are 100% or if they, like the cruises, or if they're 100% until they're not, but supposedly that is in 2.5 months. So look forward to that, everybody. Scott Baker is a great convention going buddy too at the LA Comic-Con, by the way.
Huh.
Always a good time. You unmuted yourself for that?
Yeah. Just
While we're waiting for-
I'm
sorry.
here and I've got the traffic of Hollywood Boulevard going by, so it's always loud.
Got
So I'm always like muting up. But I'll just say real quick, if I could just share my favorite Star Trek Las Vegas story with Aaron was him and Melissa and I were walking down that long hallway back after the convention had closed, and he was asking me questions about cameras or something like that, and every 30 seconds he stopped by another fan and he takes the time, he's talking with them and getting pictures, and it took us 45 minutes to walk down that hallway at least, because he's so engaged with all the fans, and that was something that always stuck with me about his kind of engagement with the fans, and that Trek experience, that like convention experience. It's not just about what happens on the floor, but the interaction between the fans and the actors, and seeing how engaged he was in those conversations, and he knows the names of the people. Oh yeah, I remember you were here last year, and all this kind of stuff. And it was just it was amazing, and it was so much fun to just be like part of that experience, and that's something that I've always kind of carried with me. So.
That was one of the fun things about going to conventions with Aaron was that experience, because everyone is involved in that, and whoever stops you you're part of the conversation. It's, and he took the time to remember everyone's name, and he's like, I can't remember their name. And I can't, do you remember their name?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But he was hard on himself when he couldn't remember their name, but he was honest about it too. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but yeah, that was, that was,
and he wasn't like, and he wasn't like annoyed. I remember it's like, oh, he had to go to the bathroom or he was really hungry or whatever, but it didn't matter because, he put that all aside to have those moments with the fans. He's standing there like, all right, yeah, but like he generally enjoyed it and didn't feel annoyed or frustrated or anything like that. I've talked to other actors and they're just like, they just want to get out and get back to their hotel room. Like that.
Whereas he was there for the fans. You felt that with every
Oh
interaction.
yeah, definitely.
He would miss his entire lunch break sometimes, like in the hallway to his lunch, and then be like, okay, well, I guess.
Yeah, and if you put Max and him together, forget it. They're never going to walk.
This is
because they're so much alike that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, never move past it. So that was great. Yeah, they're not one of the actors that's going out the back doors into the limo and going to the other hotel, which nothing wrong with that. But yeah, they really put themselves out there, which is very appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, since we're talking about our good friend and brother, Mr. Aaron Eisenberg, everybody at home, we hope you got a root beer or beverage of sorts so we can all do a nice toast to Aaron. We've got some root beer here, which is going to be delicious. So if you guys have a beverage with you or everybody at home, we're going to do a toast to Aaron. And, I think he'd be very happy to see everybody smiling and laughing. And Anne-Marie's got her Captain Nog Forever mug.
That's great.
Which is beautiful. I don't know if anybody wants to throw a word, but for now, I'll just say to Aaron.
To Aaron.
Yes, to Aaron.
Aaron.
Whoa, Lolita's drinking the Lolita.
Straight vodka.
This started at 5:00. Cocktail hour.
Happy hour.
Happy hour. Yeah.
So we've got a few minutes left. And everybody, here is the schedule that's coming up. Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg asks us, what is Falling Tower reviewing next? What a great question, Michael, being that he's one of the CEOs and hosts of Falling Tower. So we'll give you the schedule very quickly. I happen to have that in front of me. So Monday's newest episode from the Seventh Rule was a review of Star Trek Deep Space Nine's A Simple Investigation. All these
also
links
known
are...
as Odo's First Intimacy.
Oh yeah, Odo's First Intimacy.
My favorite Star Trek card.
That's so weird. So check it out. We will talk about that in the video. It's true. There is actually a trading card called, it's like a line of trading cards. It's like greatest moments on Star Trek history. And it's like Odo's First Intimacy. And he's like naked on top. It's just really weird.
It's a great
Was he in the bucket or out of the bucket?
Kind of half and half. There's some of them in the bucket. Anyway, I'm not gonna. So everybody in the description box below, we've got the links to all of these. So that was yesterday that we just premiered that on the Seventh Rule. And tonight, right after this live show, Seventh Rule is going to be toasting Aaron Eisenberg with our patrons. Melissa, Sirach are going to be there. Of course, Muhammad. It's a great time. We're going to share stories and wishes for Aaron and what we would have loved to see about him. It's going to be really cool. Wednesday, we're getting there, Michael. Wednesday, that's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Falling Tower will be reviewing Reservation Dogs. It's a new series on Hulu. It's Michael's favorite director, producer. Yeah.
YTT. Why, whatever.
Taika Waititi. That's what it is.
That's it.
Taika Waititi. So that is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are joined by actress and comedian Roz Stanley, our good friend who we love.
Great
and
taste.
Lastly, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Seventh Rule is reviewing the brand new Lower Decks show episode what is that? Season 2, episode 7. I can't remember the title, but Anne Marie knows it.
Oh, Where Pleasant Fountains Lie. It's from Shakespeare, of course.
Okay, cool. So that's about it. Check those out. Michael Kenan Rosenberg will be very happy. And we do hope you join us for those. Any final words before we go?
Well, I just want to say this has been really fun. I love talking about conventions. It's what I do. So always happy to talk about them and answer questions and give thoughts. And, you know, it's been a long 30 years, but it's been a great 30 years. Oh, it's not even 30 years anymore. It's 32. So,
you know, we love hearing your stories about conventions too.
They're amazing.
Because we love conventions, and we're always like, so what are you hearing,
I have
Lolita?
so many.
What,
I have so
what do you
many
know?
stories. I could tell. I could spend hours telling you about the old days and the craziness and wonderful, crazy things we used to do. It was fun.
So stay tuned next time when that's going to be some good stuff. One of these days we'll have to do an episode where it's just like Lolita's scandalous stories of conventions.
Oh, I can do that.
That would be fun.
Cool. Anybody else?
Captain Nog forever.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes.
Oh, Lolita has some really amazing podcasts too with Larry Nemechek on his Trek Files. On iTunes. Make sure everybody checks those out. They're full of amazing background stories. I really enjoy them.
Thank you. Yeah, I've known Larry for many, many years too. Yeah. So it's been a long.
Trek.
We're getting a lot of.
Linda says you need to write a book, Lolita.
Yeah.
You know what? I know people have been telling me that for years. And I used to say I can't do it because I would get fired, but there's no one left to fire me now. So
you've outlived them all. We're getting a lot of toast to Aaron, a lot of #CNF, which is
people
Captain
who
Nog
bought root
forever.
beer for the toast.
That's great stuff. Oh, everybody, you know what Aaron would want you to do right now? Go to walkingartmadebymelissa.com and get some cool shirts like this one, or even like the one that Muhammad's wearing. You could try one of either one.
Get both.
I get both. All right. Well, thanks very much, Anne Marie, Muhammad, Melissa, Lolita, Scott, and Sirach.
Wherever he is. He's on that plane to Germany.
He'll be there in time.
He's looking for
some
something.
space.
Thank you for having me. Oh,
there was one other thing I wanted to say from Glenn Iverson. He commented that sometime in the next couple months, he intends to do a scouting trip to Bally's. So he just wants to know whatever information we need from him. We'll let him know and he'll bring back some information. For me, I just want to know, Glenn, if you're still listening, I want to know, is the convention center actually connected to Bally's in Bally's? Because I was a little worried that it might be a separate thing. I don't want to like walk across a parking lot.
We don't like to go outside.
Nah, the sun.
Enough of that going to TGI Fridays.
No, we're not Ciroc. We're not a bunch of Cirocs. We don't want to go out and party. We want to just stay and hide from the sun for 6 days.
I think it's connected.
Okay, good. All right. Cool. Well, thanks very much, everybody. And remember that if you want to know about Star Trek conventions, put it on the main viewer. Still working on that.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun, everybody.
Me too.
Do it again sometime soon. Bye-bye.
All right, we did it.